Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales off the Holotables. I have old man Logan with me, so now I am 2 for 3 on the Three Scoundrels crew. Logan, how are you doing tonight?
I cannot complain, my friend. It is a pretty bitter cold evening in upstate New York, but staying inside, staying warm, hanging in there.
I can imagine. So we only got like half an inch yesterday. Did you guys get pummeled with the snow or no?
We didn't get anything. We
Nothing.
got like a small dusting. All we're getting right now is cold. Like
Okay.
it's 18 degrees, but with the wind chill, it feels like 9.
It must have been coming from the south then, because we got some and you're like 4 hours north of me. So
I'm actually wondering if Avant got pummeled because DC got hammered.
got hit hard. Yeah, so it must have been coming from the south.
Yeah,
Not enough for us to care, but it is freezing. I turned up my heat, and we're gonna hope that the beer keeps me warm tonight.
there you go.
So, Logan, you actually hold an interesting distinction for Tales Off the Holotables. Technically, you are the only repeat guest, which is probably confusing to most people because you came on very early on, and we had issues with Zoom. We had issues with this other thing that I was rigging around to get it to work. We got 20 minutes of what I thought was a great conversation. It put me in a terrible mood the rest of the night, knowing
Hmm.
that I couldn't finish that conversation. I did release that online as an unlisted video, so people on Discord could see it, but I never put it up. I never put it in the public. So technically, you are the only person that has been invited back.
Oh, no shit. Well, I'm honored and I appreciate it, and I'm actually very glad to be here. It beats sitting on the couch watching mindless TV. My God, my wife and I were just watching that new thing on Netflix about Jerry Springer fights camera action, and
I keep seeing
I,
it.
being the age that I'm at, I remember that show pretty vividly, and now that I'm much older, I'm like, oh my God, why did I watch that shit?
That was the era of television, like
It
daytime
was
television with like Maury, Judge Judy, Jerry Springer, even
Ricky
Oprah
Lake,
at that point, Ricky Lake.
Oprah,
Who is the other judge? Judge Joe Brown, who is my favorite.
Judge Joe Brown.
I actually, because my wife is away, and I had told you, hey, I have all this time this week. I actually started Skeleton Crew last night, and I don't know if you started it or not, but I'm a fan. I've really enjoyed what I've seen of it so far.
I have not. I do need to give it a shot and watch that. Yeah.
The one thing I will say, whether it convinces you to watch it or not, but the thing that drew me in, I threw it on while I was doing while I was playing like bullshit games on my phone, and the opening 10 minutes drew me in because it showed Star Wars in a very different light, and instead of like laser guns and like lightsabers and everything being futuristic, they showed like a life that was very similar to real life. Like
Okay.
what does it look like to live in a suburban town in Star Wars land? And for some reason I'm like, wait a second, we've never seen that before. And it drew me in, and I watched 2 episodes, and I can't wait for the rest. And fuck you, Bones, you were right. I get it. Whatever. We'll get that right out, right off the bat.
Fucking bones. What
Now,
a character.
yeah, well, he's fuck him. That's all I have to say about Bones. He can go fuck himself. Um, you actually reached out to me a few weeks ago, and I normally sometimes people reach out to me, sometimes I reach out to them. I've been trying to just do episodes where I found a really good conversation. And I know you had asked me if I was interested in talking about this, and this is a topic that I am constantly talking about. I'm constantly on Reddit. Anytime I jump into the Three Scoundrels, I'm getting drunk yelling about these things. Um, but basically, the monetization that CG has put in, and you can absolutely correct me, but from your perspective, how the way that they've changed the monetization practices over the last year, and the impacts that it has had on the more casual spenders. Is that correct?
No, 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 100%. I find it a little hard for some people to kind of hear my perspective because, yes, I have a 13.8 million GP. Yes, I'm pretty much as endgame as you possibly can be. Like at this point, I'm just trying to finish Relic 7, putting Relic 7 to my entire roster at this point. So it's just one of those kind of accounts. But the more I play this game and the more I spend and the more I gauge whether or not something that I spend my money on has value, really just kind of got me to the point where obviously this game it's a company, it's a business. Its sole purpose is to make money. And my thing is I understand free to play. I understand why they do it. Some people are in different situations. Some people have disposable income. Some people do not. Some people just choose not to. But it is CG's mandate to eliminate free to play wherever possible and eliminate it by, I mean, look, like perfect example. Look at the latest deal on the Hyperdrive bundle. That was obscene. Anybody that has any kind like, and it like when they make deals like that, especially around the holidays, they're banking on, oh well, I got this little gift card for Christmas. I could put that on this game and see what it does. And the big thing is that once they get you once, all they need to do is get you one time,
Hmm.
and then they got you. They got you.
I think it's funny that you bring up the holidays because I'm very open about this. I did a collaboration with Fat Phil about 6 months ago, and he had asked me how much I had spent on the game, and I went through my receipts to give him an exact answer. And over the course of about 8 years, I have spent, I don't remember the exacts off the top of my head, but about $1,100 on my account. And when I think about that, almost all of it was around the holidays. Almost all of it was, oh, I got this $50 gift card. Like it's not my money. I'm playing with money that in my head is fake. And I go, oh well, I didn't have that to begin with. I'm not using that to pay bills. I'm not using that to buy my wife anything. I got $50 on this vanilla gift card. Let me just buy crystals. So I've never thought of it that way, but that's I would say like 80% of my spending has been something along those lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I did do that as well, but I did it, I don't know, maybe 3, 4 years ago. And I was over 11,000. And that was 3, 4 years ago. So I'm
That makes me feel better.
I refuse to look as to where I'm
Hmm.
at now. And yeah, I think it's better for me because if my wife ever actually did say to me, so babe, just out of curiosity, how much money do you think you have spent on this game? I can say, babe, honestly have no earthly idea. And I'm not lying. I'm technically not lying.
That's true, and technically correct is the best kind of correct. The way that not the way I rationalize it. I'll get into that in a second. But when I bring up like my wife, I think about like the things that she spends on, and then I don't feel bad anymore because I don't spend a fraction of what she spends, and I don't think that that's a male versus a female thing. I just think that that's the dynamic of our relationship. That she
Yeah.
will buy this, that, the Sephora bag, the go out and get the Michael Kors this, and all of these things that she already has three of, and I go, well, I just paid $20 for a little bit of entertainment.
Yeah.
So I don't feel too terrible knowing that she has her vices too.
Absolutely. Like, my wife likes to go out and get her nails done and,
Hmm.
stuff like that. I mean, everybody has their little vices of things that they like to, spend their money on. I'm not big on, buying clothes. I'm more of a jeans hoodie kind of guy. And, it's
Same.
it, so I basically like, and what's good about our relationship is that she has her own bank account. I have my own bank account. We split the bills right down the middle, 50-50. So what she does with her money is her business, and what I do with my money is my business. So that's just how we work that.
We actually do the same thing. My wife and I, we moved in together maybe 6 months after we started dating, and we've been married now for 5 years. But that's just always what has worked for us. That I pay all the bills. She Venmos it all to me.
I do the same thing. I Venmo her my
Yeah,
half of everything.
it's super easy. It's super quick. The only thing we've been thinking about merging our accounts recently, and the only reason why is that she is really bad with money, um, and not to give her a budget or anything, but just that I am very good with money. And when it comes to saying, hey, we should be putting $200 towards our retirement each month, or this towards that each month, and you can still do whatever you want with the money you have, but like we need to manage it a little bit more actively. But we're still like 50-50 on whether or not we're actually going to do that.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, my spending, to be honest, I mean, the funny thing is when you become like ridiculously to the point where you're endgame,
Yeah.
there are some things that you just don't need to buy anymore. Like gear packs are a thing of the past.
Mm-hmm.
Chirotech is not even something I worry about. Um, I know people still struggle with signal data. I'm sitting on like 600 of each. It's because like I'm caught up. I
Yeah.
have Balan Skull, I have Ahsoka, and now I'm back in just horde mode. I'm just hoarding everything. I mean, I'm still sitting on 14K in regular energy because I
Because you
was
don't need
actually
to.
I was no, I really don't, but I was saving my energy for Ahsoka. But when they put those tickets in that one store, which was genius, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
one of the best changes they've ever made was not losing tickets if you lost a fight. But no, my spending has actually gone down a little bit. 50% out of circumstance and 50% because my wife and I just bought a house this past August and moved in, and when you go from renting to paying a mortgage, a little more steep.
We did it a year before you. I know. It's
You
it hits you
know,
right in the mouth, and then 6 months later, and I hope this doesn't happen to you, your taxes go up, so then your escrow goes up, so then your mortgage goes up, and you go, oh fuck, it was 3,000, now it's 3,600. What the hell happened?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yep.
but so I want to divert from monetization slightly because I want to spend the bulk of the time here. But when we talk about like an endgame account, I think you said on Three Scoundrels last week that you're just shy of 14 million.
I'm at about actually I got the game pulled up. Let's see, where am I at? I am at 13.78.
Okay, 13.78 million. So just like I do, you don't have to buy most things. I have 3,000 of both Chirotech. For me, it's mainly G12 gear to bring some like useless characters to G12 and making sure that I have enough for the new guys. For you, it's really just about keeping up on what's new. Um, I think that, like, when we look at Ahsoka as an example, we saw a huge shift in the pattern, right? It's still the same, like, 15 characters, but the majority of them are new. We have 6 marquees instead of a maximum of 4, but an average of 2 to 3.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people were thrown off by that. But the reality is that there are becoming more and more players that are in your position or even my position where getting 14 old characters to relics is not hard anymore, right? Like when we had to do Ray, we had to get 14 characters that we hated or that we weren't using to relics, or the same thing with SLKR. Now, anytime it's an old character, we go, oh, great, this is easy. I'll get that done tomorrow.
Yeah.
And needing those new marquees is them just saying, hey, this is not a. I use challenge incorrectly because we're talking about money, not an actual challenge. But
Right.
this is not a challenge anymore. We have to throw something different. We have to change the pattern if we as a company want to continue making money on that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Datacrons has a lot to do that. Like I upgrade my roster depending on what set of Datacrons we're in. Like this latest set, I put Lando to Relic 8, I put Magma Trooper to Relic 8, and I put Range Trooper to Relic 8 for the sole purpose that they all
I
have a
did
pretty
both.
decent Datacron, and I want to be able to utilize it. And not only do I want to utilize it, but I want to utilize it effectively with a character that's high relics. And then when you look at the 3 characters I just mentioned, all 3 of them are attackers, which
Yeah.
attackers benefit the best from Relic 8. So I base I base my roster depth on how the Datacron set is.
I actually just took my Tuskens to Relic for the same reason, and I don't even know if the Tusken one is good or not. I'm not a GAC player to the same depth that you are, but I just happened to get a Tusken one. I had already finished my shopping list of the ones that I was kind of hoping for, and I was on a stream, and I said, you know what, screw it. Let me do it because it's fun, right? I want to have a little bit of fun with a stupid team
That's
that
cool.
rarely
Yeah.
gets any use, and I do think that sometimes we not as gamers, but we as mobile or these Star Wars gotcha gamers, we kind of forget like, hey, we have to have some fun too.
100%. I think sometimes that gets lost, especially with the time sink that this game is that you want to have fun with it. But then there's days where, life gets in the way. You got to go to work, and then you got something going on after work, and the wife wants your attention for this, or you go somewhere, and it's like you couldn't have picked a worse time because it's like, Rise of the Empire and GAC and all this shit at once, and it's just it's sometimes it gets frustrating. But
Honey, it's Hell Week. We can't. We have to
I,
reschedule next
yeah,
week.
yeah.
I
Well,
actually,
I've told my wife that we've gone somewhere, and she's like, "Babe, we're out. Like, why are you on your phone?" I'm like, "Babe, I have 2 hours to finish my GAC. You don't understand." And the look I get of sheer just, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
it's interesting because my wife, I don't do it when we're out. I actually, when I'm at work, people give me crap that I auto everything, and I find ways to win through autoing. But normally when I'm at work, I'll do as much as I can on auto before I even get home. But I'll get in trouble at home while we're watching TV. We'll be watching like 90 Day Fiance, which is bullshit crap reality TV show, and I'll be doing my GAC, and she'll like elbow me in bed and be like, "Come on, I want your attention. I want your attention." So I'll put my phone down, and the minute I put my phone down, she's on her Discord chatting with her friends, like whatever she's into, and I go, "Why are we? Why is my game less important than your Discord friends? What? It's the same thing. We could both be doing this at the same time. It's fine. Cuddle up and let's do our own thing, and we're good."
Yeah, half the time when my wife and I are watching them, she's scrolling through Facebook to begin with. So it's like, all right, well then, you know what? I'm gonna get a raid battle in or two and not knock this shit out. That way, I'm not. 'Cause more often than not, I wait to the last day and then I don't even change mods for the raid anymore. I just go in. I auto some of it. If I hit a situation where I'm like, all right, I should probably take control at this point.
I know you were
But
trying to hit max box. Are you still not as a guild, personal box? Are you still hitting that, or are you just like it doesn't matter anymore?
I'm just shy of hitting it, so I'm not
Okay.
overly concerned. We're getting max crate, and
Mm-hmm.
the rewards you get for that are just so ridiculously good that it's not, to me. It's just not worth the time. Doing one more because I only do 4 battles. That's it, and I get like
Okay.
I can hit close to 12 million. So I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like I hit my number.
See, I do all five of my battles, and I typically get 8.5. I have not upgraded my teams anywhere near as much as you have. Every once in a while, I'll hit like 8.4, and I don't care anymore. I was doing my raid on stream on Sunday, and Gungans always works, right? That's easy. Quad May 90% of the time. Maybe I have to refresh every once in a while. The Luminara team and my Keller and Beck team, both of them, every once in a while. I'm assuming you'd use the B2 lead team. You don't use the 3-man team, but the 3-man mall team, I spent an hour with redone mods just trying to get to the 7th wave because of the RNG, and I was sitting there like cursing and getting angry because like it's a
Good grief.
waste of my time to spend an hour doing that same battle over and over and over again.
No, I am definitely one of those poor schleps that brought their separatist droids Maul and Sidious to 8, and I do the 5-man squad. And other than other than maybe like the last 2 phases, I just auto it.
Yeah. For you, you're in a position where I think you can afford, and again, I say afford from like a game currency perspective. to do more projects than I can do, even though I'm in the end game as well. But there's something we said about taking characters higher up just for that quality of life of saving like 15 minutes. And you say, screw it, I know I can do this without it, but it's a waste of my time and my time is valuable to me. So I'm going to do this so that I'm not getting angry, for 20 minutes every week.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's true. That's true. I would actually say the biggest bottleneck that I'm facing right now is droid brains.
Paw
The
Patrol.
guild I'm in is not overly TW competitive, which kind of makes me pull my hair out a little bit because I have quite a few TW omicrons invested.
Mm-hmm.
And when you win, yeah, you get three, but when you lose, you get one. And then we just had that Queen Amidala, or no, the two Jedi Bros event
The Duel
swing
of
by,
Fates. Yep.
and I didn't get one droid brain out of it. The last tier, I got the goddamn laptops. I'm like, oh, for Christ's sake.
You refresh it, I'm assuming?
I did.
You
I
did.
did, and then I got the damn. I got them again, and I went, all right, that's it. You get one refresh out of me. That is it. That is
And you
it. But
haven't you haven't brought your three Dead Bros, right, to R9?
no, I
Okay.
haven't because I don't. I mean, I know we got some time before CG kind of announces what the next big thing is going to be, but
Yeah.
I could relic nine one thing right now, but if I were to pull the trigger on it, it actually wouldn't be either the dead troopers, which it probably should be, but I don't know. I like bringing tanks to Relic 9, and the latest project I've been working on, and I completely remodded her because she's really good with Balin Skull, was L3.
See, I literally just brought L3 to 7 stars maybe 6 months ago. It was my one old character that I didn't even have at 7 stars, but I know like she does really well. I didn't know with Balin, but I know that she did really well with Ray for a very long time in that squad, just as a crazy tank. I just didn't have
Yeah, I
the
mean, I
the
don't, I
stuff.
don't have her, I don't have her particularly fast, but I got, all 6 dot mods on her with health and defense. I mean, I got her protection, um, just at about 130K and health pushing 80K. And she's just one of the, and she's a pre-taunt, which is outstanding.
Yeah.
So, if I were to put Relic 9 on her, I mean, Christ, that's another 33K plus in protection and 35K plus in health. But again, I don't want to do that because I'm only sitting on like 25 droid brains at the moment, and Lord knows if
Something drops for the raids.
something drops, and like exactly. Like I think for me, the smartest thing to keep the revenue stream that I have, being profitable, I need to hold on to Relic Nines until we get an idea of what the next raid is going to be.
For me, it was very important to get the Dead Bros to Relic 9 before the holidays because I knew that CG would be doing those rollover events over and over again, which would reduce the ROI time for me because, we've talked about this on Three Scoundrels before, and um, I just see the floodgates opening up for R9 materials, and even though I know it'll take 2.5 to 3 years if I don't refresh, less if I refresh, um, I wanted to jump on that as quickly as I possibly could, so
Oh,
that I
100,
wouldn't have to worry about it.
no, 100%. Wow, you did. You put all your zombie troopers to 9, huh? Good.
I
That's
did.
good. Good.
I
Good.
actually I had to R9 5 characters in a week because I did those three, and then my guild decided, hey, we're doing the Vandor platoons. Um, we need everyone to volunteer for Vandor platoons. And lo and behold, I got Old Daka, which I'm fine with because I like the old Night Sisters team. Um,
Yeah.
and I had to take Wicket to R9, which I was not as fine with. But that was all in a matter of a week. And it hit really, really hard, really quickly.
I was gonna say, man, that had to put a serious dent in any kind of signal data that you had.
I was feeling good on signal data until that happened, and then once that happened, I was like, oh, I am not good on signal data anymore. I feel okay now. I mean, some days I've been doing 5 refreshes of it, to be completely honest, just because I want to get my account to the point where your account is right now.
Right.
So I know like that's really the big hurdle for me is getting characters to these different relic levels, and I want to make sure that I'm able to do that. So that's what I've been doing, and I feel pretty good again now. Like I feel like I have what I need right now, for Shin, for Marok, because I don't have Ahsoka, I don't have Balin. I am a little bit behind you in that regard.
That event's coming back pretty soon, from what I understand.
And I'm hoping that I'll have enough time because I'm not behind on Marok, but if he's on time, I might be cutting it a little close. And I mean, if I'm close, I'll buy crystals, just to get him, because we're at that point in the game where we want to get things as quickly as we possibly can.
True. Would you say they've opened up the floodgates on omicrons a little bit?
I mean, so the Dead Brothers, you get the 5 extra from there. I actually think when we talk about the weekly store, I don't know, are you buying the pass every month? Or are you planning on it?
I do buy the pass, but
You
it's
do.
just the $20. The
Yeah, yeah,
$20. I
no,
don't
the,
do
the
one that
41
comes to it.
shit.
Yeah,
Uh,
I did do that pass when it first came out because I was trying to gauge. All right, is this worth it?
yeah.
And I hit the end so quickly. I was like, all right, this is stupid. I could have easily made this without buying that. So
What I've tried to tell people is that $40 pass is a really good value, but only if you're the kind of whale who has a deep love of the game, but just doesn't have the time to play it. So there is like that subsection of players who maybe doesn't play every day, but that's because of time commitments, but they do love the game and they do have the money to add into the game. I know
yeah,
players that don't play GAC at all. They just buy a vault every month. They hate GAC. They don't want to spend time on it, so they just buy a vault every month. They have the $100 a month to do it.
I'll I'll be 100% honest. I'm not a big GAC fan either. Like I'm in the middle of Kyber too because I just don't care that much.
Yeah,
I really don't. Like I'll engage, I'll play, but I'm not scouting you out. I'm not seeing what you placed last round. I am checking your mods. I'm not going to walk into a fight and be like, "Oh shit, I lost because I easily should have checked their speeds."
yeah.
I'll do that, but that's it. I do go a little overboard. In fact, you mentioned Fat Phil. I'm actually doing a quick little spot with him tomorrow because he
Oh,
wanted to
nice.
ask me a shitload of questions about doing a section on datacrons, and he knows I'm pretty heavily into those, and I have quite a bit of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, I think what kind of demotivated me with GAC was the squish. It was really bad this last time, and I think it was 5v5. I finished 7-2, and I still went down.
Yeah,
And I'm like, what is the point? What is the point of putting forth effort to try to play really well, set really hard defenses, browse through YouTube, see what Zareth and all these other guys are recommending for good defensive viability for this GAC, and I just got to the point where I'm like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you do because you're gonna get squished down.
I don't have a confirmation of this because I don't follow it much, but my guild leader actually had messaged me about it yesterday, and he said that the squish level now is at a lower level than when they fixed the squish. About I don't remember when that was, 8 months ago, a year ago. So there's less players in K1 than there was when they admitted there was a problem and tried to fix it. And just like
Okay.
you, I'm in K3 right now, and if you look at my win percentages on .gg, my win percentages are 58 to 60%, right? So that's above the average they want us at, but I'm still dropping because that's what it is now. And so I
Mm-hmm.
care less, and I care less, and I care less about it. But to go back to the original point, when we're talking about the pass, that $40 pass is for the people that don't have the time. That's all you really get out of it is a little bit of your time back. That $20 pass, you get a huge amount of omicrons.
Do
Um,
you really do?
And two, now with the weekly store giving you an additional two on top of what you were normally getting beforehand, that's an additional two, four, six, that's eight a month. So that's 80, it's about four and a half additional omicrons a year on top of what the pass gives you. And I think the pass gives you like 13 of them. So that's another five to six omicrons right there, you know. So there are free to play avenues to get more omicrons, and there are pay to play avenues to get more omicrons than you were getting before.
Well, the one thing I noticed that CG stopped doing, because regardless, even before, even being an Endgame, there was a bit of a crunch when it came to Omicrons. But what
Yeah,
CG stopped doing, which I appreciate, although every now and again I think they should do it just because it freshens things up. They're not just sticking them on random tunes here and there to make a team more viable.
yeah.
They kind of stopped doing that. Like if a marquee comes out, they might have one, but really it's like every conquest, whatever the tune is, they're getting free, and that's just the way it is.
I think the dynamic has changed when we talk about that. Like, I know there's players on both sides of this. There's players like you, and I tend to agree with you. Like, don't give me more of a crunch by throwing another thing into the mix. And then there are
Right.
players that say, hey, give me those old things and give me Omicrons. Um, I think that what was happening when Omicrons first came out is they were trying to build full teams, right? So like Bad Batch, and they were trying to release four characters, and then a lot of old factions were falling to the wayside. But I do believe that over the last year, year and a half, maybe since Leia came out, they've been doing a really good job of coming up with new characters to just throw into an old team, which kind of serves the same purpose of that Omicron. You know, like a Captain Rex with the Phoenix, or Nessa with the, or Kanessa, I don't know how to pronounce her name, with the Ewoks,
Yeah.
Luthen with Mon Mothma, even Saw with the leftover rebels. You know, I think they've done a good job of solving the same problem, just in a probably a more profitable way, whether that's good or bad for the players.
Well, in a way, I think it's them not doing it to random tunes here and there. The fact that they stopped doing that, I think it's better. At least in my opinion, I think it's better for the player base, because they'll drop one, maybe two of those. You'll use them, and then a new conquest tune is about to hit, and now you need three more.
Now you're
And
screwed.
yeah, so like I can personally tell that I've benefited from them stopping to do that, because currently, right now, I'm sitting on 178 Omicrons.
Yeah.
I'm going to be able to put three on the new on the evil Ray, and I'm still going to have. Although the other reason why I think I still have so many is that I refuse to put any Omicrons on TW. Or not, no,
So
not TW, TB, Territory Battle. Excuse me,
see,
TB.
this is where I disagree with you, and but I think it's great just to have that kind of disagreement, because I do understand why people don't put TB Omicrons on. I get it. Every one of those battles can be done without a TB Omicron, but every TB Omicron I put on allows me to auto a battle, and that saves me time, and I care more about my time than I care about my winnings in GAC or TW. So while I do understand the other side of it, I'll spend that extra 20 minutes doing something else.
I mean, I won't lie. I preach on the Scoundrels all the time that my time is very important to me, and if I can find ways around shit in this game, I'm going to do it. And I have thought about it. I mean, the Cal Kestis battle, I'm sure with one or two of his Omicrons is an absolute breeze without having any of them on, because I can beat the mission
It's a lot
without
harder.
him. But I have to manually play it. I can't auto that. It's not going
It's
to happen.
unfortunately it's not autoable to my knowledge, but the Whirlwind Omicron does make it a lot easier. I still lose every once in a while. You know, the probe droid kind of pops in and blows you up, and crap
Yeah,
happens.
yeah.
But it is more manageable. But then you look at teams like the Gungans. I know you're not a Gungan fan. I get that, but they're a good example of a TB fit a team where, because of the Omicron, I auto on Ring of Kafrine, so the R9 planet with no platoons.
Oh no
and
shit.
they auto that battle, and they'll lose 10% of the time. But that's with no platoons on. Maroke, from what I heard, I don't have him yet. I plan on getting his. With the Inquisitors, he autos like every single node that you use that team on. Great, I
Huh.
love it. That's exactly what I'm gonna do when it comes out.
Wow, I'm reading Captain Tarple's
It's great.
TB on right now, and it's wow. That's
It's it saves me so on every on like even on Braca. Braca's a planet that sucks. I hate Braca.
it does.
Um, and Captain Tarples autos it. Kashyyyk is it's not as bad as Braca, but it's a pain in the ass. Actually, I don't even use Tarples there anymore. I used to. I now use it on Zepho on the mission with the 3 droids, and it autos that. And so it saves me time in every single phase, and that's a great example of one that you don't need it, but it transforms the team into something that I don't have to actively manage or worry about.
Mm, yeah, no, that does make sense. Yeah. I mean, I've considered it on a few of them, especially for teams that. I mean, to be honest, I might actually do the Gungan one just because that's in like the first 3 phases. You just throw Gungans in, hit auto, and go back a couple minutes, and you go, "Oh yeah, that's done."
That's it. It is a game changer for people that don't auto. It's kind of like hot utils, right? Before I had hot utils, um, I was like, I could play this game. I could mod switch. I can do this. This is easy. It's fine. It takes me 5 minutes. It takes me 10 minutes. After getting hot utils, uh, if my guild leader stops paying for it because he pays for a guild membership and gets like 3 memberships, I will tell him I am no longer doing TB for him because not as like a spiteful thing, but like tagging people manually used to take me 15 minutes. With hot utils, it takes me 30 seconds. And I just can't live without that quality of life anymore. And it sucks that that's not stuff that's already native to the game, but that's just the way that it is.
There's lots of quality of life things I feel they could do. Like for God's sake, so they finally allow us to have an easier time scrolling through datacrons, please. Like that is
Datacrons, yep. Conquest, the Conquest data disks, it's the same crap where you just have to guess and check and hope for the best. Um, mods are like atrocious for players that don't have hot utils. I don't think you don't have it, right?
I do not.
You
That
do.
is, a lot of people have told me about it. A lot of people, or some people, have been like, "Wait, you don't have hot? You don't use it?" Like, no, I do not.
I think
No,
the first time I found out that you didn't have it, I was very surprised because even I know you don't mod switch for the raid anymore, but like mod switching for the raid, 2 minutes, super fast, super easy. There, back, done. It takes all the time is it logging in, and then it takes 10 seconds for it to do what it needs to do.
that's not bad actually. That's pretty good.
It's. I mean, I'm not paying for it, so I can't say it's worth it, but it's worth it for someone else to pay for it for me.
Well, yeah, that works. That works.
It works, right? But I want to swing it back because I know our original topic and the thing you reached out to me about was really the monetization and how things feel. And I know as a whale, as someone who spends a lot of more money than most people do, you had some views that you felt like you wanted to share, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like you didn't feel like you'd be taken seriously on Three Scoundrels because of your status. Um, I don't know if that's the correct word to
No,
use or the
I no,
correct phrase.
I think you're very accurate. It's it is. It's a tough crowd. Those guys, especially I mean, because especially Bob. Bob is very passionate about because somebody who is completely 100% free to play.
Yeah,
I can I can I guess I don't. It's not that I understand his frustration. I have empathy for it. I get it. I'm like, yeah, man, that sucks that you have a problem that you can't just swipe a card with, and here I am going, fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's one of those things where when either not so much Avant, and I'm not picking on Bob, but when Bob has one of his
Bob
moments,
does usually watch this, so if you want to say "fuck you, Bob," like you're welcome to. He'll hear it.
fuck you, Bob. So when Bob has one of his little moments, um, I have brought up, it's like, well, Bob, that's the sole principle of this entire game. I mean, that's why it exists. They didn't, EA did not, license, do the license and make this game for, well, let's just put a Star Wars game out there for people to play and have fun with. No, I mean, that was part of their intent, but it's also to make money.
Yeah,
And also, I think it's very frustrating for Bob is when some of these deals are so good, yet he's just free to play.
yeah.
That has to be front. Like again, the hyperdrive bundle. Some of those oh
The
god, what are they
Lightspeed
called?
bundles.
Yeah, the light speed bundles where I mean, I think I've never gone on Reddit in my life, but I've heard people talk about it. I just, for my own sanity, I can't go on there and read any of that. It would probably hurt my brain. But I've heard that some whales were kind of pissed off, like, what the hell, man? How much money I spent on that shit? Like, okay, but you had it for so much longer.
Yeah.
And if you want this game to remain healthy and to remain relevant, you can't just, hand somebody a cell phone and say, hey, start playing this game, and then look at the roster size and go, oh, yeah, I got nothing better to do for the next 4 years to only catch up halfway.
And yeah, and when you're catching up that halfway in 4 years, now there's another half of the game on top of that, and you're never going to catch up. I've bought one Lightspeed bundle. It was the Jawa one. So it was basically just, it was like a shits and giggles bundle. I didn't need it. There was no reason to get it. I figured whatever. They'll go to relics and I'll never use them. But for the most part, I've had to grind out my roster, and I love the Lightspeed bundles. I think they are a great addition to the game. I think that they have opened up the game to a lot of new players or people that maybe, like you said, look at the game and say, "There's too much here for me to invest in. I can't do this." But I also think that a lot of people don't realize that it signals a huge shift in the way that CG is monetizing the player base. It's not just, you don't go on Reddit. I'm on Reddit often. There are a lot of people that think that getting these Lightspeed bundles is, oh, they just want their quick cash injection for the Q4 numbers so that
Yeah,
they're,
I don't believe that.
that's
I refuse to believe that.
that's not what it's for. That's not what it's about. And yeah, it does look nice on the numbers. But there's so many people that think that, like, yeah, let me just throw shit at the wall for $10 and spike it up and it'll look good for the investors. That's not what's going on. At least not in my opinion. I think I've coined this term. I used it on stream today. I filmed a video that I haven't released, and I am not sure if I'm going to release it, where I've used the term. I call it the casualization of monetization. And what
I
that
like that.
basic, yeah, it rhymes, right? It rolls off.
Yeah.
Um, what it basically means to me is that 10 years ago, players like yourself who spent significant amounts of money were the portion of the player base that propped up a game. And as the mobile space has expanded and as younger generations have grown up in a world where this is just normal, like this isn't like a weird thing that's being tacked on, this is just what every game has. um, Companies are trying to get more people involved at smaller spending levels. And the way that I kind of equated it is, have you ever seen Mad Men?
I haven't, but my
Oh man.
brother was actually talking to me about it, and it is on my list. It's
So
something I do need to start.
so I don't want to ruin Mad Men for you, but so I'll talk in very general terms because it's a slow burn show, but it's a really good show. It's a show about advertising in the 50s and 60s. And basically, at one point in the show, they get to a point where the company they work for, as an advertising agency, they have all these little clients that make up maybe 10% of their ad revenue. And then they have this one huge client that makes up like 90% of their revenue. And there's pushback on, do
Right.
we keep this client? Do we take this client? Are they a problem client? What's going to happen if we lose this client, because they make up all of our spending. They make up all of our revenue. And
Gotcha.
that's kind of what's happening here with the whole space, is saying, well, wait a second, we have this whole untapped market. We were relying on guys like you to spend $10,000 a year, and maybe they'd spend $1 a year. But what happens if those whales go away, right? Like, what do we do then? Then we're screwed. Our game crashes and burns. So let's
Well, it's the
start
thing.
to
I
like
think,
push it in.
yeah, they're monetizing it because the game is evolving. As more and more people approach Endgame and are spending less because they they fix the gear, especially in Endgame. They fix the gear economy to the point where you don't really have a whole hell of a lot to worry about. Over
Yeah.
time, you're gonna you're gonna have everything you need to upgrade a character to relics without really breaking a sweat. But the big thing is, and statistically speaking, if you are able to convince someone to buy your product once, odds are you're going to buy it again.
Absolutely.
So when they throw these ridiculous deals at you, pretty much saying, well, this used to be this much, but now it's this much, or this character used to be really hard to get. Here it is. Bang. Here you needed normally you would need all these characters at relics to get, Jedi Master Luke. Bang. Here's a $10, $20 pack that gives you everything you need to get started. If they can just get those people to buy that once, they're gonna do
Oh yeah. I
it again because they're gonna see the progress made. They're gonna get jazzed about it. They're gonna have a new shiny toy to play with in GAC and TB and TW, and they're gonna go, dude, this is fucking awesome. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy something else now.
Absolutely. I mean, I do roster reviews every weekend on Sundays, and I see a lot of Lightspeed bundle purchasers. And I actually did one today for someone who probably would have been in a game of 3 years ago, a free to play player, or a very, very, very casual spender. And this person basically has purchased pretty much every single Lightspeed bundle that has come out. And I don't have the total, but when we think of like the gas bundle, the Afra bundle, the Cam bundle, and those more expensive ones, we're looking at someone who went from probably spending very, very little to in a year spending $200 to $300, on great deals, great deals, but a significant amount of money to get those great deals.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, I mean, I have a philosophy about my spending. Like, there are certain packs that I buy without fail. If I see it, it's here. It's a here, take my money kind of scenario. Like the one, and I've talked about this on in the cantina several times, is the relic cargo pack that you normally
Hmm.
get for 9.99. I mean, yeah, you get 100 crystals, but you get 200 of different kind of energy. You get decent signal data, and you get bronzium wiring. Like, for me, that's $10. Well, that's $10 well spent. Pops up once, twice a month. But keeps, gives me some signal data. Gives me 100 crystals, and then I can, refresh and possibly get more signal data. There's just certain things like, is is me spending money on this worth it? Like, limited time offer. Omicrons, Omegas, Zetas. They want normally it's 29.99, but I'm on the PC app, so it's $28.49 for 10 Omicrons
Yeah,
with some signal data and three Zetas.
I
It's
think
like, oh, okay, that's not a horrible deal.
I think what it comes down to with people, and I've said this to people before, when it comes to spending on this or spending on other things, um, it's my belief in life, and this is not a belief that everybody has to share, but that we are not here for any greater purpose. We're here to just live our life, right? Like, and you're gonna have some people who are gonna change the world, whether it's for the good or for the bad. Bill Gates is someone who's going to change the world, good or bad, irrelevant.
Yeah.
Elon Musk, good or bad, irrelevant. He's someone who is going to change the game in some way. I recognize that that's not me, and I have no desire to be that person. My only job is to really not be a piece of shit, and enjoy my time here doing whatever it is that I want to do.
Amen.
As long as my bills are paid, as long as my house is taken care of, and as long as nobody is negatively affected by what I do, why is me wanting to spend money on this game worth less than wanting to go to a football game, or worth less than wanting to go to a concert, or worth less than going to a fancy restaurant? They're all frivolous spending, but the people that do those frivolous things, they do them because they enjoy those things.
100%. 100%. And again, like I said, my spending has gone down. Because I'm close to the end, and there's just not a lot I need to spend money on. And I mean, right now I'm only refresh because of where I'm at in single data. I'm only refreshing once, maybe twice. Other than that, any crystal that I get, I just hoard. So
Yeah.
right now I'm getting ready for the next. We need about 21,000 crystals for a marquee to be able to 7-star it after the
If you do it after
6 day
the
window.
6 days, it depends because they've kind of obfuscated it in a way, where like sometimes there are only 5 packs available, sometimes the 10 packs are available, sometimes it's whatever, but it's somewhere between like 21 and 25,000 crystals, depending on what packs they've given to us, and they're always different. Like, was it the Sabine one had 10 omicrons attached to it? It was either
It did.
Sabine or Huyang, one of those two.
I think it
And
was
I,
Sabine, but yeah.
I was like biting my knuckle trying not to buy that stupid pack. Like, oh, like I need it so bad because of those. It was just and there was no added cost, which is what was the crazy thing. It was, this is the deal. It's already a deal. Now we're sweetening the pot, and they try something different every single time.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. And they're going to continue to do that. As the game continues to evolve, they're going to continue to throw little temptations out at you.
Yeah.
And, it's because they want everyone to. And that's what you said. Some people say on Reddit that oh, it's just a cash grab. I mean, yeah, there is some truth to that, but that's not their only reason. The other reasoning is for they want you to get as much out of the experience of playing this game as possible. And if
Yes.
you spend a little money and progress yourself, you're going to immerse yourself in this universe a lot more, therefore having more fun, therefore being slightly addicted, then therefore going, okay, well maybe next paycheck I could spend just $10.
The
Because of the
other.
amount of people who play this game, if they could get everybody to spend like $10, $20 every week, every other week,
Mhm.
I mean, revenue on that is just absolutely, it'd be astounding. It'd be ridiculous.
And it would be more even, so that when you lose a couple players, it's not a big deal. When you gain a couple players, it's not a big deal. You don't have to go for the big accounts. But the other thing to that point, when we talk about like the cash grab aspect of this, and going back to like my whole, and I'll say my new catchphrase again, the casualization of monetization, is that the way that they're changing the game is they want everybody in the end game at all. The end game's not the right word. They want everybody on the new thing at all times,
They
right?
do.
So 2 years ago, if I did a roster review, or a year and a half ago, I would say, oh, don't worry about the Naboo raid because you don't need that. Just farm in JML and farm Jabba, and farm for the next 2 years on all of the back end, um, doubled stuff or accelerated stuff. They don't want players doing that. They want you to pay to bypass all of that,
Hmm.
so that you're going after Ahsoka, even if it's not the smart decision, right? And I think that that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that most players don't make the smart decision. Most players don't make the efficient decision. Most players don't go, well, Ahsoka needs 3 of these and Jabba needs 2 of these, so it makes more sense to go after. They just go after the character that they want. and farm the character that's cool to them, whether or not it's the easy character, whether or not it's the hard one. And now CG wants everybody going after the content that's new and fresh, and it just so happens that that content is also the most profitable content that they have.
Well, hence the reason why they're throwing out all these packs for people to get caught up on all the past legends, because it's like, okay, well, we still want to be able to make money on these characters, and we want the player base to go after what's new and shiny, but we've got to, I'm sure they're sitting in their office, before they did all that, thinking, all right, we've got to get players access to this stuff. That way they divert their attention from the old to the new. So let's throw packs at them that are ridiculously cheap. We'll make a shitload of money. Let's look at the projections. If half the player base all buys these $20 packs, just think of the revenue that's going to create.
Well,
But
that continue. Go
yeah.
ahead. Finish your point.
Well, no, it's just the same thing. But I mean, like the Reddit folks had said, "Well, it's just about money." Yes, it is. It's about money, but it, it's going after money, but with also another objective in mind. And
It's
that
going after the short term money while also going after the long term money is really what it boils down to, and they tend to think it's only about the short term money. I think that that's what you're trying to get to.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think what it really boils down to is when you have players now. Um, let's use Gas as an example, right? Gas is a character who's been around for a few years, so you have players now who want to go after the newer stuff. So what are they going to do? They're not going to spend more resources towards Gas, even if they want it. They're going to say, well, Gas is accelerated. I'm going to slow farm him. I'm going to do him in the background. I'm going to like apply a gear piece as I can, and I'll get him eventually.
Yep.
And in CG's perspective, it becomes, well, we either make $0 off of Gas or we make $50 off of Gas, right? So then the players see this and go, well, I can spend a year doing this really, really slowly, or I could just throw $50 at it and not even have to worry about it. And of course, a lot of players make that decision.
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing about past content and older content is that for CG, it's the gift that keeps on giving. They can continue to monetize it because not everybody has it.
Yeah.
Even your average mid-game player doesn't have all 9 legends. They might have, 4, maybe 5. And, some of these newer legends, Ahsoka and Leia, for instance, are not easy to get. The relic investment,
The
especially
relics are
for
much tougher.
deep.
You'd be
Now,
surprised how high up it goes. So I don't even think of Ahsoka as a legend yet, just because only the most dedicated players have her still, because nothing is farmable yet. So I still think of like the original 8 at this point. But you'll be
well, yeah,
surprised at what GP point you still see 4, 5, 6 legends. I look at accounts that are 11 million that have 5 legends, and I don't even understand. I go, I don't how. How did you manage? You like
brilliant.
tripped past all of these GLs. Like, how did you do that?
They must have they must have roster depth in some other parts if they're
Oh,
rocking that GP with 5 legends.
course they do. They have like off meta teams and they have other things that work really well for their rosters. But it's not even just the mid game player that are buying these packs. It is players at 10 million, 11 million. Like I said, I'm 12.5 million and I bought the Jawa one just as a maybe I'll use them once this year. And I have. I've thrown them out of
Before all
shitty.
this, yeah, before all this new Night Sister nonsense, I actually bought the Night Sister one, and I'm glad I did.
I wish that was out when I did my Night Sisters because they were my passion team and I did them and then that came out maybe 8 months later and I was like, great, this is awesome. Other people get to experience this team the way that I'm experiencing it because I am having so much fun using them in every game mode. They're my MVP team in pretty much everything that I do.
Well, it's like those other two Night Sisters, along with Spirit. I didn't even have in relics yet; they were still Gear 12. And then, I'm thinking, okay, well, they're starting to, create content for the Night Sisters, so I have a feeling that these tunes are going to be valuable. Plus, it was like a little it annoyed me. It was like a little black spot on my roster that I like. Really, I don't have this faction done. They've been out for how long? So fuck it. I'm just gonna. It was like it was like 10, $20. I said screw it. I'm gonna do it.
It was super cheap. It was very cheap. I like the Jawas. I needed two of them, and for $10, I said whatever. For Tuscans, I think I needed two, but for 15, I don't know. I was teetering, but those junk factions. As a completionist, when I see $10 for a junk faction, I go, yeah, I'll buy it because why not?
100%.
I want the roster depth. I know that they're going to come up at some point in the future, and I'd rather be prepared now and not have to waste my materials on it. The other thing, though, when it comes to monetization, and we talk about like how much money this game has made, and I will say again, fuck you, Bones, because he keeps quoting $4 billion, and I've never seen that $4 billion number anywhere. I've seen two, so I really please send me where we got this $4 billion. But what people don't realize is up until recently, when we talk about like the web store and we talk about like the PC client, 30% was going to Apple and Android. Licensing fees. I don't think they realize just how expensive the Disney licensing fees are. That Disney is taking like a huge, huge, huge cut of this.
I'm sure.
Obviously, EA is taking probably most of it. On top of that, as a studio, we look at 2 billion, and it is absolutely a huge number. It is an insane, insane, insane number. But a lot of people look at that 2 billion and go, "Well, they have $2 billion. Why don't they feed the homeless?" That's not how business works, right? That 2 billion becomes 1.4 billion right off the bat, which then becomes 750 million when Disney gets their cut, which then becomes 500 million once taxes are taken out of it, which then becomes payroll and EA and shareholders, and it's still an obscene, obscene, obscene amount of money. And I'm not saying that CG can do no wrong, because there are certainly so many things that I can criticize them for. But it's not as simple as saying money goes here, CG wins, we're all stupid.
Yeah. No. 100%. No, I'm glad you brought that up because that's actually a question I've never asked. Now, where's Bob getting the 4 billion figure from?
I don't know. I would like to know. And he might be right. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying that when people quote numbers at me, I want to see those numbers. Like, I want to see where they're coming from. I want to know
Well,
where you got
yeah.
that.
But I mean, that's another thing I never thought of. The licensing fees and all that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, CG is making a lot of money, but it's not. They're making a lot of money for other people.
Yes. Yes. All of that money gets funneled out. And, I own a business. I have a business. It's a local business. It's not EA. It'll never make, I will not make in a year what CG makes in a day. It'll never happen. Um, but when you see the money coming in, you go, wow, this is great. I'm making so
Yeah.
much. And then you write all of the checks, and you go at the end of the month, you go, oh shit, I actually lost money this month. Well, shit, that sucks.
Yeah, you got to pay any employees you have and pay for the power bill and pay for the lease and yeah, it's
It becomes real expensive, like really, really, really quick. And I can imagine on their scale, like it is bigger. And again, I know they're making money and they are making buttloads. I'm not saying that they are not. And I always have to say this to people, and not to you specifically, but to anyone watching. There are so many things that I can criticize them for. Um, Making money and the desire to make money is something that we all want to do.
oh, 100%.
So
Yeah.
I'm not going to criticize them for that.
Well, it's like, I'm not a CG apologist either. I feel like, if they do something stupid, I'm definitely gonna call them out. Like, the dick plate ship, that whole fiasco. That was, you know, it was just a clusterfuck of biblical proportions. And
Between that and Leviathan, yeah, that whole
yeah,
scenario.
and yeah, they fixed the Leviathan, but now it's, so really the most competitive defensive fleet in GAC right now is we're back to the dick plate.
Yes, because the Leviathan is a, if you put it on defense, you've lost it because you're just going to mirror it. The Dick Plate and the Executor are the one ship that has some iffiness to it. But that whole situation was one where that's where the criticism should be, right? Like, I know on Three Scoundrels, Kate was talking about how she stopped fleet climbing during that whole fiasco. And I know a lot of people that stopped fleet climbing, and I stopped taking first. I just would do 2 battles. I'd get into the top 5, and I was happy.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to deal with that battle. It was so infuriating to do, and it took them so long to finally fix it and put it in a place where it's not good, but at least it's not frustrating anymore.
Well, it's like they did that with the Dick Plate, and then they buffed the Thai Dorito, which made the mirror match just
So much harder.
it was a 50-50. If you did not go first, you were not going to win. But then they did what they did with the scimitar, which actually I'm fond of, because if you get that thing in, even if they go first, you get that thing in there, and you win.
It's put a band-aid on the situation, and I'm happy they did it, but it comes down to, all right, it took you 2 months. For 2 months, I had to have a much more frustrating experience than I had for the last year. Like, why did I have to have this really frustrating experience for that long of a time? Why was my time not valuable during that time? And those are the kinds of things where I say, I definitely criticize them in those spots, or when they make those types of decisions.
No, no, 100%, 100%. Now that ships have kind of stabilized, I'm hoping, because they didn't do it last year. I'm hoping they have plans on a new fleet this year. Would be nice. I actually would like to see them, if they're going to do another raid, it be a ship raid. I think that would be something different and refreshing and fun. I don't know what they would do, but
Everybody wants that Death Star raid. I don't care personally, but I know that that's been one that everybody has been saying for years. Death Star raid, Death Star raid, Death Star raid.
I'd give anything to go back to the speeder bike raid. That was just so like, hey, click, click, done, and now it's that one fucking droid that wants to
Oh,
make all your buffs disappear and cleanse itself, and it does it at the most opportune times. Fucking droid.
oh, Cam just did his thing. Not Cam. What's his name? The stupid green one that looks like a Gungan. Kit Fisto.
Yeah,
He did his thing. That's gonna make the whole team go. Nah, fuck you.
yeah.
Droid's going after him. Fuck you.
Yep, no, that happened to me. Like, so when a new wave hits, I generally, if Kit Fisto's ready to go, I'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait a turn. And I'm like, all right, come on, droid. I know you want to do it. Come on. You know you want to. All right, you're still shooting me. Still shooting me. All right, you've all gone 5 times now. Ugh, the turn meter gain on those fucking droids. Like, it's just, that raid is such a slog. It's just, I it was fun at first, and now I'm like, and now it's just a chore. It's just like, okay, I need my rewards. I got to do it. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
My thought with raids is Crate Raid was a whole different thing, and I didn't like it because I felt like every team was so fundamentally different that it was really hard to learn the dynamics of the raid.
No,
And
you're right about that. Every team was different. Yeah.
every team had a completely different way of playing, and they were all different time amounts. Jabba you could do in a minute and a half, whereas Old Republic took you 15 minutes to get right, and sometimes it wouldn't work. So they changed some things, and they gave us Naboo, and Naboo was really great on time, but it didn't feel like I never looked at my screen. I looked at the bottom right corner and I was like, oh, that one's up, that one. Oh, that one's up, that one. Oh, that one's up, that one. I never looked at what was going on the screen because it wasn't important. It didn't feel like a raid, but it felt better than Crate. Naboo, to me, feels the most like a raid, but it doesn't feel good because there's no progression. You hit everybody down to red and then you go, oh, they're all back at green again. Well, this is fun. So it feels like that
Yeah.
raid battle I won, but it doesn't have any of that fun, and it has all of that frustration and none of that works for me. So I do think that there's been an evolution, and I'm just really hoping that whatever is next takes all of the lessons that have been learned and is able to give us something that is maybe everything combined in a nice package.
That would be nice. I mean, I think they're learning from past raids of, if they're listen to the community, all what, things that work, things that don't work. Um, I honestly think they should put some sort of an exclusive tune or a ship or something back into raids, because I always found that exciting. You wait, you got kind of jazzed for the new raid, like, ooh, I'm gonna get more shards of this character, and that's gonna be pretty cool. And I'd like to see them go back to that. I think that would be something different.
That would
But
help drive it, I think, is
yeah,
if they put in a character that you got, so you get your raid 1, your raid 2, your raid 3, and you get shards of a character. And then after the raid is done, maybe put that character either on a TB node, whatever, kind of like they did with the Mandalorian, the crate raid, where they put it in TB and did something with it. So either put it on a TB node, or give it to us for raid 1. I don't want to say raid 2 or raid 3 because those are so valuable, but where you can say, okay, the raid is over and you still want that character, you can just buy him for that raid 1 currency afterwards if you really want him, and it'll take you another however many months, but that option becomes yours.
no, no, that's no, yeah. Well, I think a good way of how they could do it would be like, how the raid structure is now,
Mm-hmm.
depending on how much you progress, you get a certain box. So and if they really want to get maximum engagement out of the raid, like, say, the first four boxes, you're getting like 3 shards of the character, 4 shards of the character, but the end box gives you like 15, maybe 20 shards of the character, building your way up through the
Up
course of
through.
however long the raid lives, how long it goes on, where you have the potential to get the character to 7 star. But if you don't get your shit together and play efficiently on the raid, you won't. But there will be an opportunity in the next raid where you could get, kind of like how Conquest works. They'll
Yeah.
give you shards of the
So you
last
think a
character.
second one. Okay.
Yeah. So if they did it that way, I think you would get a lot more engagement in the raid. You'd get a lot more people wanting to invest relic levels into tunes to be successful in the raid, and you're going to see guilds want to push harder for the raid and get efficient at it quickly, so they don't miss out on the opportunity to get, a great tune. And really, it's 8 months of hype.
Yeah.
You don't even have to release the kit. You just say, this is the tune, the exclusive tune that's going to be, and then maybe 3, 4 months in, you release the kit and you just make a huge, you just hype the shit out of it. And I just, I was actually thinking about that the other day. I'm like, man, if they did that, that would be exciting. That would be
I
fun.
I think players are motivated by a character. We saw it with Third Sister. We saw it with Cam. We saw it with Rebel Officer Leia way, 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 way back in the day. We saw it with Treya, when she was a raid tune. With General Kenobi, with Han Solo. What if we take that idea, right, and just for ease of numbers, let's say that there's 10 raid boxes, and let's say that the raid is available for 8 months, right? So let's say a guild who is hitting the 10th box, the top box, so a guild like yourself, they'll get that character within the first 2 months the raid is out, with the amount of shards that they got. By the time you
Yeah,
get to
well,
like
yeah. I mean, I like that, because also the other thing to consider is no guild, unless they're completely prepared, is probably. I mean, there's probably a handful of like really
top, top,
ridiculous
top,
endgame guilds, but most guilds are not going. I mean, it took our guild, I don't know, a couple months before we started finally max creating.
it takes a lot of stuff. So that's why I'm saying, like, if you build it on a timetable, right? So like it doing max box, it'll take you about 2 months. If you're doing the seventh box, it'll take you about 4 months. If you're doing the fourth box, maybe you'll have him by the end of the raid. And if you're doing anything under the fourth box, you'll have an opportunity to get those shards at a slower rate in the next raid, so that a player like yourself is able to get that character a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Um, and a player like myself or a player who's in the later mid game, they're still going to get that character in a reasonable amount of time. And you give that character um, not a raid omicron, but you make that character very strong for the raid with like a hero status that they have for all of the characters. So you give that character
Oh
hero
yeah.
status
Yep.
so that once you get that character, it is going to be almost like a quality of life change for you in doing the raid going forward, which increases incentive right there.
Oh, 100%.
And then you give them a GAC or a TW Omicron, because that's what players want. I would love to say TDB, but I know that someone will find my address and mail me like skunk shit or something for saying that.
Well, that's like, the speeder bike raid. A lot of people, myself in particular, wasn't overly fond of the prospect of having to put Relic 8 on certain Ewoks to max my score. I was like, really? I don't want to Relic 8 any of these fucking things. But okay. It's like when your guild says to you, hey there, Mr. Logan, can you Relic 9 your Bodhi Rook for platoons? I'm like, oh fuck.
Listen, man,
Really?
Hoth Rebel Soldier, Old Daka, Wicket, Mon Mothma. I've got the R9s. I've got the shitty platoon one, so I know exactly where you're coming from.
Oh, they're just of all people, Bodhi Rook. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll take one for the team. God damn it.
It's worse when you're an officer and somebody leaves the guild, and then you're in a position to where you're like, all right, I guess I'm the person who has to R8 that character this time because we can't lose the star or
Oh,
people will
man.
throw a shit fit. So I guess I need to have an R8 Zalbar or an R8. I think I have a Young Han too, and a Hermit Yoda, and all these random tunes that I never would have done on my own.
Gotcha. All right, brother. I think I'm about to bid you adieu. I generally go to bed earlier on non-Thursday days.
You are all good, my man. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming in. For
No,
those that
no, it was a blast. I appreciate it. It's not that I can't have good conversations with Bob, but we're all, I'm drinking, Yvonne's drinking. The show kind of sometimes goes off the rails a little bit. So it is nice to sit and actually really kind of,
just have a conversation.
unlayer the onion of the game a little bit and, really kind of dive into some certain things that we're both really passionate about. So I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, Old Man Logan, Three Scoundrels, it's great. I listen. I don't know. You guys have me on a lot, so I don't get to listen every week. But on the weeks that I'm not on, I listen every Friday morning. I try to tune in on Thursday nights, but it's usually very rare that I can. It's good stuff. It's 3.5 hours of just fun related to the game, and I would definitely check them out.
We bitch, we banter, we drink. I play the old curmudgeon who wants people to stay off his lawn. I play that character, so yeah. So that's it. But when somebody asks me to come on their show, I behave myself. That's the professional thing to
You
do.
don't need
But
to behave here.
yeah, but in the cantina, the kid gloves are off. I'm the first one to tell you to go get fucked.
You heard it here first. Old Man Logan says, "Go get fucked," specifically to Bones. With that, I say, peace out, guys.
All right, thank you, everyone.